Thank you for watching today. This is Kinnear. Welcome to another Starfield video. Today I'm taking a captured Va'Ruun Prophecy III and reconfiguring the internal layout. Instead of a maze of sections fit only for snake-crazy nut jobs, by the end we'll have a great platform with easy ground and docked entry access, room for crew and passengers, and importantly, more living space than any apartment you can buy in the game. This ship can be your floating home in space. So let's get started. For a variety of reasons, I found myself collecting starships in Starfield. One of the most intriguing and fast ships I've picked up is the Va'Ruun Prophecy. It's solid when it comes to engines and weapons right off the bat. Unfortunately, the moment I step inside, it's a mess. Or it's a maze. In any case, it's a pain to get from place to place even after I've cleared out all the snake zealots. I like a ship I can enter from the front from the ground, that has easy access to and from the airlock and docker, has a sleep location, has a workshop within easy reach. With the May update, we also got the ability to decorate inside, so the options get even better. I've registered the ship for just over 61,000 credits already. We're going to do the renovations at 3 locations, starting with my own landing pad with Shipbuilder. Then I'll travel to 2 other locations for specific parts. Once I enter the Shipbuilder, one of the first things I'm going to do is repaint the ship. It's a black on black ship, and it just makes it slightly more difficult to deal with the internal parts. The Shipbuilder's already a little finicky when trying to pick one piece versus another, so I'm just going to give it a nice kind of white and gray paint job with a little bit of blue accents. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the weapons that are already on the ship, we're not going to swap those out at this point, and I'm just going to move them out to the sides of the ship. So when I'm working with the internal habs and other components, the weapons are out of the way and I don't need to move them again. The next thing I'm going to do is on the top of the ship in the front and on the bottom of the ship in the front, there are Stroud nose caps, and when we receive the ship, it's going to have one nose cap that's a 2x1 and one nose cap that is a 2x2. I'm going to pull that 2x2 out and just duplicate the 2x1. I like the symmetry of it. I think it looks better. And then I'm going to go to the bottom of the ship and do something similar. I'm only going to duplicate it once. On the bottom of the ship, when I remove the 2x2 nose cap, I'm also going to remove the Stroud nose cap E and the mid bracer behind it. Since I want to put a landing bay on the front of the ship, and that's going to be on the bottom level, I do need to add a hab in between the top and the bottom level. So this mid-level is going to need a 2x1 hab. I'm going to choose the HopeTown version because I like the way it looks, and then I'm going to add a porthole cover. Next, I'll add the landing bay underneath it. I'm going to use the Hope 4. The NG6 works just as well. Since I can only have one landing bay, we'll remove the Stability Pro landing bay from the side and leave that spot open for now. Next, I need to take the entire top layer of the ship and move it off to the side so I can work underneath it. This can take some practice, and I almost always end up leaving off a porthole or a weapon. So do the best you can, and then go back and pick up the other pieces and move them off to the side. On the middle level, I'm going to remove the Stormax 30 cargo holds. There's 4 of those. The Stroud Companionway 1x1s, and the 2 Stroud Storeroom 1x1s that are close to the braking engines. Next, I'm going to add 2 Deimos all-in-one berths, the 3x1 versions. I'll just add one and duplicate it. I'm using the Control G key on the PC. In the front, I'm going to put in 2 HopeTown Storeroom 1x1s. Again, I'll add that and duplicate one. On the sides, I'm going to duplicate the portholes, so the crew has a nice view. Now I'm going to do a little bit of work on the bottom level. I'm going to move the Aculander 11 landing gear. This Stroud mid-bracer is not necessary for us. I'm going to take the Stroud all-in-one berth 3x1 and put it down in the middle on the lower level. The Stroud companionway can come out. This computer core, I'm going to pull forward. I need to move these 3 Stroud mid-bracers out of the way, but I'll put them back in a minute. Try to make a pile of the things I won't need. I will duplicate the S204 cargo hold. That's going to make up for the cargo we just removed. Shift around to the bottom and put on a new docker, the Connect Pro docker port. I'm going to change this computer core to an armory. That's going to help with the ladder placement in a later step. I'm going to change the infirmary to a computer core. I guess I could have shifted that around and added one. Put the Stroud mid-bracers back over the storage. I actually want that middle piece back. I'm going to use the Control-Z key or an undo feature to bring that back. I don't need the 1x1s, but I do want to put this middle piece in place in case I need to go into the ship. I don't think I'm going to need to go into the ship, but it's not going to hurt me to carry it. So my total is at 17,293 credits right now. I'm going to leave that blank spot there. Double click on this entire section, drag it back over. And I've left the docker on the bottom. I always forget the docker on the bottom. So now it's gone. We're good for here. So we're done at our base for now. We're going to go to the system Valo, the planet Polvo. And we're going to go to HopeTown. We only need one item from HopeTown. It is a 3x3 cargo haul. I'm going to choose the empty version, but that cargo haul is only available here. I've looked at the other 3x3 cargo haul manufacturers. The ladder layouts end up the same and are driven by other habs that are in the ship. However, the interior layout, some walls and some other areas are different. So we're going to select this top section, pull it off to the side. Now we're going to pull the Stroud cargo haul 3x2 out of the ship. And we're going to find our Hope Tech cargo haul 3x3 with the empty version, which should slot right in. We'll get rid of the 3x2. And this will cost us 1,164 credits, and we can put the top section back on. And we should be nominal and good to exit. It's worth noting at this point in time, until we replace that 3x3 cargo hull, the inside of the ship was still kind of a hot mess and a maze. It's not great yet, but after the next stop, it'll become a much more navigable interior. For our next stop, we're going to go to the Narion system, which is very close by, and to the Stroud Eklund Star Yard. This ship's speed gets up over 650 with a boost. I won't complain about that. Let's find Havershaw. Is Havershaw his first name or his last name? Maybe he only has one name. We could call him the Havershaw.
Havershaw can help you if you need anything.
So let's see the ships.
Fine, we have some tempting. Absolutely.
The Va'Ruun Prophecy. Now we're going to take care of the top layer. Select the 3 mid bracers and the 2 top items. Move them off to the side. We're going to add a Stroud workshop, 2x1. Next to that, we're going to add a Stroud living quarters, 2x1. The snapping here is a little odd. Highly dependent on where you leave your mouse when you open the build menu. We're just going to take the Stroud living quarters. We can always move them around. And the last one we're going to add is the Stroud infirmary. So we will have a pharmaceutical station on board. Given that we can build within the ship ourselves, we can put anything we want in, but for right now, we're going to go ahead and stick with a traditional hab for the infirmary. Maybe in the future, the infirmary will have a bigger role for us. Now we're going to add the Stroud battle stations 2x2. That's the one we had to come here to get. It may be available at other stations. It was not available at our landing pad with Shipbuilder. And the last item is going to be the Stroud captain's quarters 2x1. If you like, you can add some additional portals here. It will increase your overall cost, but it's kind of nice when you're walking around. The ship is very dark and isolated when you first receive it. This opens it up quite a bit. Our total is up to 7,015. Before we get rid of these parts, 6,185 is our total at the Stroud Eklund Star Yard. And we can touch up the paint. I use this technique where for each color, I just move the control bar to the right one and back one, the left one and back one. If you've selected the entire ship, it's an easy way to paint miscellaneous pieces that you've added recently. They all end up looking about the same at this point. I might paint those all-in-one berths on the side a different color eventually, just as an accent.
These ships are something else. Wow.
Goodbye, the Havershaw. It's been great working with you. Next, we're going to go to the Porima system, to Porima 3 and the Red Mile. This is entirely optional. If you do not traffic in contraband items, you might not be interested in this at all. You'll save yourself 9,000 credits. If you have access to the key through the Crimson Fleet quest line, you may have access to the conduction grid and comm spike as well. They also sell the items that we're buying at the Red Mine. We'll avoid the temptation to go run the Red Mile, as fun as that is. Ilon, he's always depressed, so we'll just move past it without engaging in too much conversation. Go to the back of the ship. We'll add a 100 cm ballast shielded cargo hold, relatively inexpensive. And then we need to find a spot on top of the ship to add, should be under the electronics tab. I think I need an equipment plate. I happen to have left 2 of these sitting on the top of the ship. Scan jammer multi-frequency, a little pricey, 9,016 credits. But if we have to, we can move a small amount of contraband cargo with a much better chance of avoiding being caught. Did lose a little mobility on that. We're down to 49. With the top speed of the ship and a boost, I'm not as worried about the mobility. The firepower is pretty good. Over time, we can upgrade weapons and other items on the ship, but that's not what this build's about. So that should be everything we're going to spend on this. Our total is around 95,453 credits. That's with my commerce discount. If you don't have the commerce discount, it'll be about 114,000 credits. Most of that cost is the registration. The next largest cost was done at my base. And then we picked up a few items at HopeTech, Stroud Eklund, and the Red Mile. Even at 114,000 credits, this is a steal compared to anything that you could actually buy outright. I did notice that I made a mistake on the build earlier. This is a zero cost item that I'm going to change. This should not have been a computer core. It needs to be a control station. Both will work for the purposes that I've described. However, the control station has more space inside, and it looks better when you get in, and you'll see that in a minute. On the bottom, I put a Stroud Armory in place, and I think what I want to do is a Stroud Armory empty. It doesn't have any effect on the cost, and it doesn't really have an effect on how you can use the ship. It's a personal preference, and there are a lot of opportunities with this build for you to tweak it and tune it to your liking. So let's go on board. We're going to hit E to board the ship, not go to the cockpit. We're going to arrive in the control station looking forward. You can see our portal there and some random security people. One crew member, I guess, busy filling our pockets. But the important thing is this. Let's go straight back behind us, and now we're in the 3x3 cargo hold. This might be close to the largest apartment you could get in the game. It has 2 separate rooms on the side, and given that we can decorate it now, the possibilities are pretty open. We probably need an assistant who can announce, "We have visitors." Since I have all-in-one berths on the side with windows, we have a nice view, lots of crew space. We also have some storerooms up front. These are some of the most empty storerooms I could find, which means you can also furnish these with a bed and some minor furnishings. If you're role-playing and you think your second in command on your ship needs their own space, here are 2 small rooms you can set up for crew members or for whatever purpose you would like them to be. You could use them for workshops as well, instead of having your workshop on the top level. Again, opportunities are very open after the May update, given that we can decorate inside. That would take a long time, and I'm not going to do that in this build. So, on the level below, 1 ladder below us, is the door to the airlock and the docker. So if we're docked at a station and we come back in this direction, we're now in an empty armory. Lots of places to put mannequins and weapon racks, things like that. Next door to us are 2 areas that we won't be in very often. This is a 3x1 all-in-one berth that gives us passenger space. And then the computer control room over here, which I believe gives us 1 extra crew member. We're above our 7 maximum anyway. So there's a lot you can do in this empty armory. Again, the possibilities are up to you. Or you can switch it back to a populated armory, and it'll come with its own weapon cases that you can use as well. The top level is 1 ladder up, and I like to boost to it. Behind us, we come up in the workshop. Right in front of us is the 2x2 battle stations. One ladder up, and I'm on the bridge. So for me, this makes sense from a gameplay perspective. Battle stations are below. The captain's quarters are right off the battle stations. There's a spot I can sleep. As soon as I leave the battle stations, I have access to a workshop. I can go to the back of the workshop and come through here to 2 areas I won't visit that often either. The infirmary and the crew living quarters. I might be looking for a crew member to take them with me on a quest, but they're not areas I'm going to be passing through that often. I'm going to be passing through this area, probably fairly frequently. Access to the outside and ground. The ability to reach the airlock and the bridge and the workshop easily. So let's take this for a little test flight. The ship's looking pretty good at this point in time. giving it a stylish paint job with a little bit of blue. Looks good taking off. Well, how convenient. One lone Va'Ruun litany trash talking us in space. Those MEV 250s just melted. Those are the default weapons that came on the Prophecy 3. So with that, we're done with the interior renovation. From here, we have many options. We could build an entire apartment on that middle level that even the collector would envy. We can adjust the habs and storage on the bottom. There's some really interesting things you can do by shifting them forward and backwards and changing whether they are empty or not empty that affect the ladders. Play around with it, see what you like. In addition, we can go to the key and add the conduction grid and comm spikes. Over time, of course, and based on our own skills, we can optimize this entire ship for engines, shields, weapons, and the fuel storage. So what do you think? Would you fly a Va'Ruun Prophecy? Do you already fly a Va'Ruun Prophecy? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Remember, we cannot solve problems with the kind of thinking we employed when we came up with them. Learn as if you will live forever, live like you will die tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and get notifications. This is Kinnear, and I'm out of here.